The movie begins in the year 1990, introducing two siblings, Michelle and Chris. Chris is highly intelligent and, at a young age, is taking an advanced test that allows direct admission to college. After finishing the exam, Michelle and Chris step outside, where they are stopped by army officers. Chris is wearing a shirt featuring Cosmo Robot, indicating his interest in robots. However, the world is on the brink of war between humans and robots. A scientist named Ethan is introduced, who harbors deep hatred for robots. Years ago, robots were created to assist humans performing various tasks. However, when robots became faulty, humans discarded them. Through enduring mistreatment for years, the robots formed an alliance, led by a robot named Peanut, demanding their rights and respect. Humans disapproved of this rebellion, leading to a war between them and the robots. The war escalates as humans refuse to change their behavior. Eventually, robots are banned and using them at home is strictly prohibited. The world is engulfed in conflict. During the war, a military officer reports to his commander that robots have the upper hand, as they do not experience fatigue. Humans are on the verge of defeat when Ethan develops new technology to aid them. He creates neurocaster robots, which humans can control using their brains with the help of neurohelmets. This technology, known as NeuroTech, enables humans to fight through robots that do not tire, just like the enemy robots. Within weeks, this innovation allows humans to win the war. Major Mark receives an award for destroying the most robots. After the war, instead of exterminating robots, humans imprison them in a special facility. As time passes, Ethan advances his NeuroTech, splitting the human brain into two sections, allowing a single person to control two neurocaster robots simultaneously. This means humans can use their minds for two tasks at once, controlling one robot while living their daily lives. This advanced version of NeuroTech becomes immensely popular worldwide, and even schools begin teaching its use. The story shifts to the year 1994, where Michelle is seen living with her foster father, Ted. In school, all children are being taught using neurohelmets, but Michelle refuses to use one, preferring her natural human capabilities. Due to her defiance, she is sent to the principal's office. The principal warns her that if she does not follow the rules, a complaint will be sent to her mother. Michelle reveals that her entire family died in an accident, which saddens the principal, who then advises her to undergo neurotherapy for mental well-being. However, Michelle dislikes artificial technology. A flashback reveals the tragic accident. While saving a deer, the family's car crashed, leaving Michelle in critical condition. She wakes up in a hospital and sees a doctor. She gets frightened and wakes up from her dream. She feels someone is in her house. In fear, she hides under her bed, but a Cosmo robot finds her. When Michelle threatens to destroy it, the robot signals her to connect a wire to its head. Upon doing so, the robot starts speaking and claims to be her brother. Before Michelle can react, the robot suddenly collapses. Turning back, she sees that Ted has attacked the robot. In this era, keeping robots is illegal. Ted orders her to throw the robot out immediately. However, she blames him for its entry into the house. Angered by his response, Ted attacks Michelle. Seeing this, the Cosmo robot becomes furious and retaliates, throwing him against a wall. He attempts to call the police, but Michelle knocks him unconscious. She then escapes with the Cosmo robot. After traveling a long distance, Michelle stops and asks the robot why it claimed to be her brother. She questions whether her brother's consciousness is inside it. The robot confirms her suspicion. Overwhelmed with emotion, Michelle asks where her brother's real body is. The robot indicates that the doctor knows the truth. Michelle remembers that this is the same doctor who declared her brother dead. Michelle opens a map, and the robot points to a location in the middle of the robot containment facility where they can find the doctor who knows about Chris. They set off for that location. Along the way, the robot notices the miserable condition of humans. Many are abusing NeuroTech helmets like a drug, leading to a decline in human health. Witnessing this, the Cosmo robot feels disturbed. At this point, a man named Evans is introduced. He is the same military officer who once reported that humans were losing the war against robots. However, he is no longer in uniform, suggesting he has retired. Now he is involved in supplying weapons to the rebels. Evans hands over a gun to a neurocaster robot. As soon as the robot takes the gun, it refuses to pay for it and instead threatens him with the same weapon. Before the robot can harm Evans, someone attacks from behind and disables it. Turns out to be Evans' robot, which he keeps illegally. Evans and his robot then load the disabled Neurocaster robot into their truck. Meanwhile, Michelle and her Cosmo robot take advantage of the situation and sneak into the truck, knowing that Evans is heading toward the robot facility. Soon after, it is revealed that Ted has reported to the police that she owns a Cosmo robot. The government hires Mark, a specialist in hunting robots, to eliminate it. Now, Mark is chasing Michelle and Evans. Evans finally stops the truck at his home, which is directly connected to the robot facility. As soon as they enter the house, Michelle and Cosmo get out of the truck, but Evans and his robot hear their movements. Evans holds Michelle at gunpoint, demanding an explanation. Michelle reveals that she only wants to enter the facility, which is why she sneaked into his truck. She knows Evans is involved in smuggling things in and out of the facility. Evans warns her that the facility is too dangerous and she should give up. While they are talking, Evans hears footsteps from above. He quickly asks both robots to hide. Turns out to be Mark's Neurocaster robot, which demands to know where the robots are. He accuses Michelle of helping another robot. Evans, however, lies, saying Michelle is his sister and there are no robots around. Mark does not believe him and attacks Evans. Seeing this, both robots get furious and attack Mark. Taking advantage of the fight, Michelle turns off the switches, trapping Mark's Neurocaster robot under debris. She, Evans, and the two robots escape. Meanwhile, Mark, now extremely angry, removes his neuro helmet and prepares to go after them. The group ends up in a dangerous location and Evans is furious because there is no way out. He blames Michelle for their situation. Just then, a group of scavenger robots arrives. These robots kill damaged robots and use their functional parts to extend their own lives. While looking around, Evans' robot Tim discovers a giant robot in a van. Tim controls the giant robot, preparing to escape. At that moment, Michelle asks for help, saying she knows a doctor who lives nearby and knows the way out. She promises that if Evans helps her, he too can escape safely. Evans agrees. The group gets into the van, which the giant robot carries as they move. Michelle asks Evans where he got the giant robot. Evans reveals that he found it during a war. He was fighting against robots when his legs got injured. This same robot saved his life, allowing him to walk again. Because of this, he owes the robot his life and keeps it hidden. After the war ended, a ban on robots was imposed, so he has been hiding ever since. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Ethan, who visits his mother and notices she is suffering from memory loss. After investigating, he discovers that NeuroTechnology is the cause. Enraged, he confronts the doctors in his lab, demanding an explanation. The doctors inform him that Chris, the key person who controlled their NeuroTechnology, has escaped. Ethan becomes furious and questions how Chris could escape since his body was still in the lab. The doctors explain that Chris transferred part of his consciousness into a robot and escaped. Because of this, the NeuroTech system is malfunctioning. Determined to fix the issue, Ethan orders his doctors to find the robot immediately, or else his company will be ruined. He then contacts Mark through NeuroTech and offers him a huge reward to capture the escaped robot. Mark reveals that he is already hunting the robot and Michelle. Ethan instructs him to capture Michelle and imprison her, while delivering the robot to him. Since his Neurocaster suit was destroyed by Michelle and her allies, so Ethan gives Mark a new, advanced Neurocaster suit for free. The scene shifts to Michelle and her team, who are standing in a strange place. Suddenly, someone attacks them by throwing a refrigerator at them, injuring their giant robot. Soon after, a group of robots captures them and takes them to their leader, Dr. Peanut. Michelle is shocked to see that Dr. Peanut is still alive. Dr. Peanut asks about the purpose of their arrival, mentioning that many humans come there to kill them. Michelle replies that she is not here to kill anyone but to find a doctor who lives inside this facility. Dr. Peanut confirms that there is a safe house far from here, where the doctor might be staying. Then, he asks Michelle why she is searching for the doctor. She reveals that she is actually looking for her brother, whose consciousness is trapped inside the Cosmo robot. She has learned that her brother's body is in Ethan Corporation's possession. Hearing this, Dr. Peanut becomes concerned, wondering why Ethan would keep a child's body in their facility. Michelle also does not have an answer. The scene shifts to Michelle and Evans, who are preparing to move forward. Dr. Peanut sends some of his robotic soldiers to assist them. They all leave in a vehicle shaped like a peanut. Meanwhile, Mark arrives at the facility and sees them leaving. When Michelle and her team reach their destination, a group of fighters surrounds them. Before they can attack, a song plays and a secret door opens. They slide inside and finally reach Dr. Kyan, the person Michelle was looking for. Before Dr. Kyan can ask anything, Michelle demands to know where her brother is. She questions why he lied about her brother's death. Dr. Kyan reveals that her brother is in Ethan's lab. Michelle asks why, and Dr. Kyan explains that 4 years ago during a war, humans were losing. During this time, Chris and Michelle had an accident. After conducting an MRI on Chris, they discovered that his brain possessed extraordinary abilities, a gift from nature. These abilities became the foundation for NeuroTech, the advanced technology they developed. Michelle, furious, asks why he lied about Chris being dead. Dr. Kyan then shows her recordings of the past through his robotic Ryan. Chris was in a coma, and his brain was being used through his body. Dr. Kyan admits that if they had not kept Chris alive artificially, they could not have developed NeuroTech and Chris would have died. Michelle argues that they should have let Chris die instead of using him in such a horrible way. Dr. Kyan reveals that Chris was still alive inside and once even tried to grab his hand. When Dr. Kyan realized this, he tried to shut down the NeuroTech program, but Ethan did not allow it and even removed him from the company. He also confesses that he secretly connected Chris's consciousness to the Cosmo robot, which is why Michelle could find him. Even after hearing all this, Michelle remains shocked. She asks Dr. Kyan why he did it. Dr. Kyan explains that he wanted Chris to live inside the robot to build a new life and family with other robots. Hearing this, Michelle starts crying and says that Chris was her brother and she was his family. She insists that he didn't need robots. Evans, too, becomes furious after listening to Dr. Kyan's story and attacks him. Meanwhile, Mark arrives at the facility and Dr. Peanut rushes to stop him. Using a powerful explosion, Mark enters the facility. In the darkness, Michelle and her team attack him, but Mark's Neurocaster robot is extremely powerful and unaffected by their attacks. Mark has brought an entire army, and a massive battle begins between his forces and the older robots. During the chaos, Dr. Kyan tells Michelle to escape with Cosmo, but before she can flee, Mark spots her and grabs Cosmo's hand, flying away with it. He does not harm Michelle, but the facility is already in ruins. Even Peanut is severely injured. Returning to the robot facility, they see that Mark's Neurocaster robots have killed almost all the other robots. The surviving ones are barely functional. Meanwhile, Mark takes the robot to Ethan, who looks relieved upon seeing it. Ethan speaks to the robot and tells it that it troubled him a lot and warns it not to do this again. The doctors place the robot into a machine and transfer its consciousness back into Chris's body. Mark watches in shock, realizing how cruelly Ethan is using a child. Ethan justifies his actions by stating that the child helped him create NeuroTechnology and save humanity. Meanwhile, Michelle is extremely heartbroken. Evans approaches her and offers encouragement, assuring her that he is with her and that they will save Chris and expose Ethan's truth. Their first mission is to escape the facility. They find one of Peanut's robots, which knows the way out. This robot also reveals a crucial secret. NeuroTech runs entirely on Chris's brain. Chris regains consciousness, the entire NeuroTech system will shut down. Hearing this, Michelle is relieved. She realizes that this might be the key to shutting down NeuroTech and stopping Ethan's experiments. Peanut refuses to fight and says that they never wanted war before. They only wanted respect and peace, and they still want the same. Michelle tells Peanut that they are fighting again to achieve exactly that. The other robots understand Michelle's point and convince Peanut to join them. Now they all become part of the mission. They prepare themselves and reach the city where Ethan's lab is located. They bring a massive robot with them which lifts cars and throws them at the lab. Ethan watches everything from inside and orders Mark to destroy them with his army. Evans controls the giant robot, but soon advanced Neurocaster robots arrive and try to damage it. Eventually, Evans' robot gets destroyed. Before it explodes, Evans jumps out just in time. Peanut arrives controlling another huge robot, and the rest of the cosmic robots also start fighting against the Neurocaster robots. While the battle continues outside, Michelle sneaks into the lab. She uses her robot to scare the scientists away and then wears a neuro helmet that is connected to her brother. Side, Mark appears wearing a giant Neurocaster suit. He starts destroying everything and even comes face to face with Peanut. That moment, Peanut has just finished fighting another robot when Mark points a gun at him and asks why he is still fighting. Peanut replies that nothing is greater than freedom. Mark asks, not even death? Peanut answers that if his death brings freedom to his people, then he welcomes it. The Mark is impressed and tells him that he has more humanity than most humans. He also realizes that Ethan lacks basic human emotions and has been cruelly using a child for his experiments. That moment, Mark decides to turn against Ethan and join Hub. The scene shifts to Michelle, who, through the neurohelmet, meets her brother Chris. In this digital world, they appear inside their home. Michelle tells Chris that they need to leave, but Chris refuses. He explains that Ethan has used his brain to run the NeuroTech, and without it, the entire system will collapse. Chris reveals that he is already dead, and his brain is only being artificially kept alive. If his brain stays active, Ethan will destroy the world using it. He asks her to deactivate his brain, which will shut down NeuroTech and stop the destruction. Michelle refuses at first, but Chris reminds her that she always believed he could change the world. He asks her to help him do so. They hug, and the scene shifts back to reality, where Michelle wakes up and shuts down all the machines keeping Chris alive. As a result, NeuroTech collapses completely and Chris dies. Side, Evan's army of robots is losing the battle. He sees that his beloved robot, which always stood by him, is also severely damaged. As soon as NeuroTech shuts down, all the Neurocaster robots stop functioning and fall to the ground. Evans wins the war eventually. He celebrates but soon realizes that his robot Tim is completely destroyed. His happiness turns into sadness, but then he notices a small warrior inside Tim, keeping it alive. Evans feels relieved and then rushes inside to find Michelle. When they come outside, they discover that all Neurocaster robots in the world have stopped working. The news spreads quickly and Michelle is interviewed. She reveals the truth about how Ethan used a child to run the NeuroTechnology. As a result, Ethan is sent to prison. At the end of the story, Michelle gives a speech to the world. She explains that NeuroTech is no longer functional and that Ethan did not just use robots to win wars but also made humans dependent on technology. People had forgotten that they could do the work themselves instead of relying on Neurocaster robots. She reminds everyone that humans should rely on each other, not technology, and that emotions and relationships make them truly human. She encourages everyone to move forward together, supporting each other. Her speech is well received. Evans becomes emotional and hugs Michelle. In the post-credit scene, a group of destroyed robots is shown, including the Cosmo robot. Suddenly, it wakes up, revealing that Chris's consciousness is still alive inside it. The movie ends on this note. I hope you liked my video. If you did, please like and share it. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We keep bringing such content regularly. Peace.